All right, welcome back. Relatively short delay in the update, thanks to the folks over at ESCA for getting all that straightened out very, very quickly. We are going to get live into Cloud9 versus Winterfox very shortly. It is going to be on Dust2. As we talked about, if you remember before the break, if you were tuning in, a big match for Cloud9 to break themselves into the top four. They can overtake some teams here. They can take over, I believe it's Optic and Renegades are the two teams that they can jump ahead of. But this matchup on Dust2, Winterfox, we've talked about, they have had some success recently in some of their matches. It was a rough start to the season for them, but they've been able to trade out against some good opponents. Sitting at 7-7 right now, outside of the playoff picture. And Cloud9, like you can see there, 10-4.
Yeah, so Winterfox definitely doing a good job of sort of elevating themselves, keeping themselves in the Pro League at the very least, and just trying to rack up as many wins as possible. Trading some sets, as we've mentioned a couple times this week, versus some very prominent teams in North America, Optic, Team Liquid, and Selfless. And I think they 2-0'd Complexity in their first match back on Monday. So now taking on Cloud9 has been on a bit of a rise themselves. We'll see if they'll be able to trade some stuff versus them. If not, well, then unfortunately they've got a little bit more work to do before they finally elevate themselves. But some players to watch in this matchup as we are going live with the knife round. Definitely Desi, who's been really stepping up his game as of the past couple of days, and Shroud as well. Always that consistent fragger for the side of C9.
It's interesting that I like that you bring up the point of just staying in Pro League, avoiding those relegation matches, because we are actually currently living in a world where Counter Logic Gaming might have to fight for their Pro League survival. They're down in 10th place. It'll be 10th and 11th who have to compete with premier teams to keep their spots in Pro League. And if CLG can't turn around their season, they're sitting one win behind Splice, who's at 4-10. If they can't turn that around in the later stages of this season, they very well will have to play their way back into this, and that would just be nothing good can come from that, I guess you can say. You know, you don't really gain anything from playing in the relegation matches as a Pro League team. So a little bit scary for them. Hopefully they turn it around, and hopefully that Cloud9 can turn things around as well and break their way into the top four, give themselves a little bit of room to work with.
We are going live now, guys. C9 on the CT side. Winterfox jumping onto the T side. And we'll see how things go. Initial investment, Winterfox bringing 2 smokes to the party, but only 3 players investing into armor. Whereas C9 going for the usual buy-up. Skidoodle just going to pick up the kit. Rest of the players buying up armor behind them, but a nice tap from XP3 to start us off. Actually does some pretty decent damage to nothing.
That does really good damage on nothing. Down to 43 HP. But still, Freakazoid is going to be out towards long. He sees nothing. It looks like all of Winterfox is going to be grouping up into these B tunnels. 4 members are going to be here. Flowsick and middle have yet to decide where they want to go. They do have 2 smokes, 3 flashbangs to work with. Flowsick is going to use 1 and a pop flash into middle. So that is a smoke for the left side of mid so we can peer into CT spawn. This might distract, and it has. Cloud9's not looking their way inside the B bomb site. It's going to be nothing at the door, who's forced out. So is Stewie, but 1 kill from nothing before he's traded out. Flowsick, a drive-by into the bomb site, getting both of those kills.
And now with those being picked up here, C9 down to 3 players left alive, and they're getting aggressive towards the tunnels here. They're going to try to hold back these CTs now, prevent them from even getting close to this bomb site. Freakazoid trying to push his way back up, picks up that nice first go, but he doesn't realize hiding around the corner, but he actually might have still be able to take him down. Nicely done. Shuts out Flowsick. Child moving back into here as well, almost picks up a kill. All down on anger at this point. He's going to be completely overwhelmed from the corner. Great job from C9, and they're going to be the ones that claim this first pistol round.
That will be a pistol round that will put you on tilt if you are a Winterfox player. Losing that, Freakazoid finds 3 kills in it, but 2 of them in the upper B tunnels. Very disjointed defense of that tunnel retake portion from Winterfox. All the advantage, actually a pretty clever strategy. That smoke on the left side of mid, it distracts Stewie and nothing. It's not normally the smoke you see for a mid to B split, but it grabs their attention, and that allows the players in tunnels to get out and then explode into the bomb site without even really being spotted. Either way, the plant does go down. They do get the bonus money from the bomb, so they're going to save in this round. No armor, some upgraded pistols, a couple flashbangs, but next round is when they're going to buy.
Just grouping up in middle for the time being, too. The usual execution we see from most of these T teams here on Dust2. Lining up, pushing themselves over towards Cat, and then a pretty straightforward A execute to follow that, essentially overwhelming themselves out through Cat, hoping they can sneak the bomb in through there, force the plant at the very least, so they can get a little bit of extra cash for utility as they head into that 3rd round force buy.
Look at this, so Anger leading the way. He does get hit by a scout. Shroud only gets 1 before being dropped. Scooter's got to be careful of that Molotov, though. It's going to do some damage. They can't move forward. The bomb is being planted behind this. That's all Winterfox really cares about. Skidoodle getting aggressed upon. Lex finds that. Down into a 3-on-3, but now Freakazoid and Stewie, those SMGs chiming in, and Stewie on the flank. XP3's got no chance. 2-0. They do decent damage, grabbing 2 kills. The scout's going to be salvaged. But with this extra plant, that's going to make this buy just a little bit more potent.
Winterfox will definitely go into that now. 5,600 sitting on Lex, and many of the other team now sitting at the high $4,000 mark. So should be no trouble at all to be able to go for that investment here now. Just waiting for them, as we did end up going into a pause here. I'm assuming for technical reasons.
Yeah, not sure. No one's dropped from the server. Even both the coaches are still in here, or we're just one of the coaches, Irakanji. By the way, you might have heard the news. Irakanji stepping in as a coach. If you haven't heard that name before, he's an old school 1.6 in-game leader who had some success. I know Lurpus has often said he was the best in-game leader after him when he was over in the North American team coaching or working with EG, but. Yeah, he was also the first player who gave Shroud a chance. Shroud was known as a streamer at this time. Very highly skilled. A lot of people, you know, even in scrims and pugs and everything, you could tell he was very talented. They were very afraid of the skills he had. But Irakanji was the first leader in the North American scene who picked up him, and oddly enough, picked up Desi as Manajuma, that team, and they brought him to the to one of the ESEA lands where Cloud9 really decided to scout Shroud. And it was after that land that they actually picked him up. So pretty cool story there. I think they were actually Complexity at the time, not Cloud9, but could be wrong on the timeline. Either way, Irakanji has much history with Shroud and even Desi, and been utilized. Cloud9's been looking for analysts and coaches to help them out. Nothing has been very vocal about the struggles he's had adjusting that in-game leader role, and Irakanji, at least for the moment, seems to be helping out a little bit.
And not only this too, but Stewie2K taking over some of the shot calling roles when is needed has actually proved to be quite potent. We've seen some of these maps where actually they shut down opponents due to Stewie being the calls. The different strategies that he brings to the table, or the different calling style that he brings to the table, proves to be much more effective with the C9 roster, which was kind of a surprising turn of events for plenty of people.
I'd be very curious to see how vocal Stewie actually is with calls in-game. I think maybe it would be more of a situation where he helps them kind of come up with ideas and build off some things during practice, because I mean, I don't know. That's a good question that we'll have to ask some of the Cloud9 guys to figure out what exactly impact Stewie's going to have on the tactics and how they play, because they have been vocal about him helping out. I know they did say he called a Mirage game a while back. I don't know if it's extending fully to other maps, if he's taken that completely over from nothing. But yeah. Not known as a tactical player, really, Stewie. In fact, quite the opposite. He's known as running through smokes and flashing himself through smoke, so that is a little bit interesting.
And as well from the side of Winterfox, we already talked about Desi stepping up as of late. We've been seeing much more consistent performances from XP3 and Lex, too, who are sort of falling off by the wayside a little bit. XP3 back into that old shape that we saw when we were in relegation, coming off of Season 2 of Pro League. He was actually really the one player that I think saved this team and managed to keep them going into Pro League for this season, prevented Denial from beating them and actually making their way into the Pro League season. So now he's sort of fallen off at the beginning of the season, but we started to see a lot more of him as a late, a much more consistent opping performance. So with that carrying over to this match, hopefully, assuming they don't have any problems with their economies and they can actually continuously get that up on the board for this T side, then he could have some nice firepower, going up against Skadoodle.
Yeah, and the one good thing that you can find in that matchup if you're XP3 is Skadoodle. This is a map where he's very, very much cemented into one position. Not known as very mobile opper to begin with, even on CT sides, but especially on Dust2, he doesn't really move when he has the up from that car, that swing position between long and the A bomb site. He essentially goes from car to railing, but that'll be just, you know, the knowledge of knowing where Skadoodle is going to be and knowing that you can pull him in a different direction, use some utility to pressure him because you know exactly where he's at. That'll be an advantage that XP3 might try and exploit.
So again, just pulling up the map record here. C9 actually not playing that all that much this season. We've only seen them jump onto it one time, managing to win it, of course, and for the Winterfox players, playing it up twice, going 1 for 1 so far this time around. So pretty much even for both teams so far. But basically, this is a playground for both these teams in all complete honesty. We often talk about how the North American teams may not be as solidified on those more strategically intense maps like Mirage and like Overpass. Dust2 is the home map where both of these teams should know exactly how they want to play. This is the first map that a lot of these teams often go to. Cash is another one like that too, where pretty much every North American team knows how to play this, knows what to do, and these guys can brawl really evenly against each other here.
I always see questions in the chat of who picked which map or whose map pick was this. And the way that the map vetoes have worked this season is that teams actually submit their map bans for this week ahead of time, maybe a week or two ahead of time. And each of the maps that the teams pick is pulled out of the pool, and then much like the major format, whatever's left in that pool gets randomized, and that's what's selected. So no team really picks the map. They just kind of pick what they don't want to play. So Dust2 was actually obviously brought up into this matchup. But yeah, that's how the vetoes work.
Yeah. Cool.
Good addition.
You know,
thank you, Blue.
You know these, I hate these pauses that always happen, like, they always happen like the first 2 rounds. So
yeah.
You talk about all this pregame stuff, and then it's like, because there's only been 2 rounds, it's like, okay, now what do we talk about?
Anything you want, man. Let's talk about the issue you had with Doritos earlier. This Cooler Ranch really gave you a struggle.
I don't know what happened, man. I started talking, and apparently Doritos just made me start choking. So I had to take a big gulp of water to
it's a tough life.
revive myself.
We can talk a little bit about Desi, because I know you've been big on this, a little bit of a resurgence he's had recently, because he's very much known as a hit-or-miss player, just a very gambly style, high risk, high reward, a lot of attempted pushes, a lot of attempted flanks that can yield big results. At times, I mean, he's willing to gamble some fights that he'll take, and we might be able to see it on this map. He has seemed a little bit restrained from it this season, but there will be times that you'll see him get aggressive on his portion of the map on CT side, and he's either going to find a battle and lose it, or he's going to find a battle and win it, and he'll have a big, huge flank going on to the other side of the map. So it can be effective at times, but it is big risk.
Yeah, and like 6 of the past 10 maps that we've seen Desi play on as well, he's been doing, just if you look at the average stats for all of his teammates, he's been doing like 20 to 30% better than most of them, just from a purely mathematical standpoint. So a really big step up from him compared to him slumping quite a bit, actually, if you go back a little bit further, where we really weren't seeing all that much from him. We were seeing him screwing up a lot of these 1v2s where they brought him onto this team, and he has to position himself quite often to be that clutch player. And if he can't do that, much like Roka actually is known a lot more for this on complexity to be able to pull off that role. If Desi cannot do that, if Desi cannot come in when he needs to and pull off these clutch plays, then the team is just going to falter in many, many rounds.
So the pause is canceled. It is now resumed into the matchup, so we're going to bring you right back into the game. It is 2-0 Cloud9 at the moment, and there is a bye from Winterfox. You will see that in just a second. Right now, and because of the 2 plants in these opening 2 rounds and the no investment in the second round, XP3 is able to afford an AWP into this round. It is glass cannon. There's no armor behind it. Skadoodle's got one as well. And they're going to get aggressive up catwalk. Look at Freakazoid. There's 3 members here pushing forward. Freakazoid gets that first kill, and that's the AWP. That's the no armor. That's what it does. The SMG ruins XP3.
That's going to drive a wedge as well. Desi's still stuck on top of the T courtyard right now, with the rest of Winterfox kind of hiding outside of the long doors. They don't really want to push that because there's more than likely going to be some players stacked outside of there. And with flashbangs and whatnot tossed out, there definitely is now. But they've fallen back from middle. They just moved out very quickly to find that opening kill into XP3. And now that they have that, they're happy with the man advantage they're given. They're going to fall back. So Winterfox still just taking their time about this one, making sure there's no other bouts of aggression about to be spouted their way.
The little bit of a bummer for Winterfox is they gained nothing for that aggression. Normally when you see that aggression up mid, you know there's going to be a gap in the defense elsewhere. But Winterfox, they don't take advantage of it whatsoever. Freakazoid was pushed all the way up to the top of mid, gets that kill, and he's able to fall back and position himself out at long before Winterfox even really leaves T-spawn. Pop flashes come out, Freakazoid completely blind. They run right by him though. Flowstick doesn't see him. Still going for more, but Skadoodle bails him out. Freakazoid, he's gonna get away off the benefit of the opping from Skadoodle. He comes alive, bails his teammate out of a tough spot, and it's just on a Desi.
And Desi just gonna hold out in middle here, hoping to find something, and he's gonna miss that first connection shot as well a little bit, down to 55 HP. So they know exactly where he's at. He's fallen back now, putting himself in a bit of a cheeky spot to look for some players, pushing him from those long doors, but not happy with it. Falling away now. He's got the AK in hand, looking for some battles, but doesn't even realize it. Freakazoid is gonna roll in, and Freakazoid is going to grab a 3K on this round.
Yeah, Freakazoid, I brought it up. He's been playing very, very well recently, and there it is, that opening kill. And then here, I don't know how Flowstick doesn't see him. Didn't seem like he was blind, but Skadoodle comes in big. Those 2 kills there. Freakazoid was out in the cold with nowhere to go. Thankfully, he has his teammate to back him up. So 3-0, back onto the saves. Only flashbangs on Lex and Flowstick. No other utility to utilize.
XP3 moving himself, leading the charge for himself and the rest of his team now as they push themselves up towards mid. But again, keep in mind the light arsenal that they're rolling with right now. Could be a pretty quick attempt to just move in and overwhelm Cat once more to look for that plant, giving them the extra boost of cash heading into their next gun round here. Skadoodle blind. And there's a good response flash thrown from the CTs, and Shroud's able to cover for it. Freakazoid also finding 2 picks up as he works his way back down long as well. The only one left alive from Winterfox is Lex, and he's just trying to get that plant. Unfortunately, it wasn't meant to be. Shut down by Freakazoid. He gets another 3K, and C9 start themselves off 4-0.
Those flashbangs actually worked out pretty well for Winterfox. They had a gap, a little bit of an opportunity to get out of catwalk and try and find some kills, but that gap closed so quickly by Cloud9. Money is banking up on Freakazoid, especially 11,000. Most of the other players of Cloud9 sitting over 5K, even some are right around 6K. So plenty of money on the defensive side of things, and this time Winterfox, Desi is going to be alone at the B tunnels with the bomb. That's a little bit scary, but the rest of Winterfox taking mid control. Anger, XP3, Lex, all streaming down. Nothing's going to be forced a little bit passive.
See there too, nothing. Going for the pop out, trying to take a duel versus Anger. Only going to bring him down to 37 HP, but that was without him trading out any HP, and nothing now. Just trying to take these players down as they try to retreat through the mid doors. He picks up a kill. Stewie found one as well, and nothing. Still fragging away. Flowstick picked up at least 1 overall into Stewie to find that trade, but still, the damage has been done. Winterfox down to 2 players left alive. They're going to try to push outside of the tunnels, but nothing is waiting for them. They've already realized the path they're going to go towards here. There's nothing popping off the head of XP3 and follows it up with another one in a Flowstick. Well played by nothing, and C9 rack up another gun round.
Yeah, you do not want to see nothing at this level. 4 kills on that brings him up to 5 total, so he hasn't had a huge impact otherwise in this match, but this was good stuff. Gets that kill, pulls out the USP as Lex tries to or the P2000, excuse me, as Lex tries to spray through the smoke and then just transfers over to the B bomb site. Really good stuff from Nothing. If he's going to be that aggressive and that mobile throughout this half, it could spell disaster for Winterfox moving forward.
So now with Winterfox, again, just basically the same exact thing that we've seen so far in their eco rounds. There's been no divergence from this. Just push into mid, line your players up on a cat, and then go for a quick push from there. But Cloud9 have gone for some pretty aggressive positioning on cat, and their Scooter already picked up a first kill. They've read it. They know there's going to be more following this one, but they do actually change it up a little bit this time, putting some pressure on mid. Anger is going to pick up a response kill onto Nothing, but still ultimately going back to this A-site hit. Freakazoid's already killed the planter, Flowsick, and he didn't really have a whole lot of support, so these final three are stuck off the bomb site. They're trying to get themselves in here quickly enough now, but this is really not going to pay off that well. Anger sneaking through with another kill, but he's been traded off by Skadoodle, and Desi, the last one alive, down at 12 HP. Stewie rolls in the flank and shuts him down.
Easy to fuse for Cloud9 here, so 6-0, but with the losing bonus and that plant, Winterfox will have everything they could possibly want. Didn't even really need the plant. They still would have been able to get everything. They had a lot of money due to everything building up. You could see as well, they're sitting, look at how much money they have left over after this buy. Pretty incredible. Either way, they need to get started soon. In a huge hole at the moment. Yeah, there's still a lot of money, as DJ indicates on the CT side, so no sloshes there on Cloud9 in their bank accounts. Default, though, from Cloud9. 3 members taking over long. Freakazoid's going to stick around. He'll be the lone man. This time, Winterfox, they're taking things a little bit more cautiously. 2 members coming from the lower B tunnels. They're not streaming players down mid to take control of Catwalk.
Not any pressure coming in from the CTs on middle yet either here. It's mainly just Nothing holding back a little bit outside behind the boxes to watch for a push from here. And Trout supporting from CT, so not going to be able to figure out a whole lot of what's going on, but Winterfox being pretty straightforward still, stacking these players up towards mid. A lot of smokes and what I've been tossed out towards Cat, so they're not going to be able to push towards it as of yet, and they're going for a much slower style of play anyway, but now the flashes start to roll out. They've connected one on a Skadoodle, and he's going to fall back a little bit. Takes that shot, so they know he's playing that same position, but there's really no follow-up onto it, so they will not be able to take him down.
Complete control of mid for Winterfox, but they haven't decided where they're going to go from here. Still 4 members grouped up around this Xbox, around double doors. Looks like they want to get out Shroud there. The pop flash just to challenge, get some information. Now throws out a Molotov. That's going to buy a little bit more time. Still, 4 members of Winterfox, they don't want to move from this, and now it's smoked out. They're being delayed. This clock is going to start running lower. 35 seconds left. XP3 is an upper B, so this is going to end up being a play towards this B bomb site. Anger's going to push back anything on Catwalk, but another smoke comes down in mid, so they've got to adjust everything. They've got to transfer all the way over towards A. They have to go right at the op of Skadoodle. Freakazoid and Flowsick also going to get into a battle, but Skadoodle gets the first kill. Freakazoid's handled long as well.
So Skadoodle picking up that first kill, and Freakazoid finding another one. Shroud even picking up some more of these players. They try to push Cat once again. Lex managed to sneak through and surprises a little bit there. Takes down Skadoodle and Freakazoid. They really didn't think he was that close to the site itself, but Lex still alive and still rolling here. He's up to 3 kills now. He's going to have to ace it if he wants to close this out, but 3 seconds left on the clock. He's going to have to fall away and yield the round to C9 once again.
Yeah, that is rough, but really good utility usage at those mid double doors by Cloud9. The Molotov, the follow-up smoke ruined any hopes and dreams that Winterfox had. They had to rotate across the entire map where they had no control, and they got pushed into a very awkward execution against Skadoodle's AWP. He buys just enough time, as well as the rotation on ramp, drops XP3, and he had the bomb, so Lex had no time to run back and get it and plant. So 7-0 for Winterfox, or for Cloud9, excuse me. But Winterfox does have another buy. They do have a lot of utility, a lot of smokes, Molotovs, flashes, everything they could want.
And again, pushing players quickly into the tunnels and transferring it to mid. It's the same exact thing. Winterfox, though, much faster, though, outside through middle this time. And C9 not really here to try and challenge this as of yet. Smokes roll out. Shroud's going to put himself up on top of the box, but it's Nothing sitting behind the boxes over here outside of the B doors. All that jumping, though, Nothing can actually lock on, but Shroud and Stewie just roll right out there, pick up 3 kills back to back to back. XP3 finding a response into a 2v3 position now, but Shroud surprised by Flowsick as he pushes out the doors, and Skadoodle, he can't respond to this as of yet. Now Skadoodle trying to push back in. Flash is going to connect completely onto the bomb player. They're sitting over there in the corner. That's XP3, but again, no follow-up as they're still waiting for Freakazoid to get in a position in the tunnels.
Yeah, Skadoodle just biding his time. This battle between Flowsick and Freakazoid is huge, but Freakazoid wins it. XP3 so low, out in the open as well. Got to dodge a flashbang. What hope does he have? Nothing. Freakazoid ends it. It's an 8-0 run for Cloud9. Winterfox is still blanked in this first half.
Winterfox getting closer and closer, though, even with just these slight deviations in their strategies, but ultimately C9 continue to rack up the scoreline here. Yet to be smited as of yet. For Winterfox now, going to be on another round where they can afford to buy up.
That was so beautiful between Shroud and Skadoodle. Once Nothing falls, coordinated push through the smoke and CT spawn and out the window of the B bomb site. They say we'll concede the site, but we're going to eliminate half of this attack. We're going to eliminate the mid portion, and we'll just do the retake from there. Works out perfectly for Cloud9.
Winterfox here, splitting themselves up a little bit more this time, trying to put some pressure over here towards the long doors, but no follow-up onto that. Still just a slow-paced movement to try and get these players in position, and C9 still with the same basic setup here too, and given no reason, of course, to change it as of yet. Looks like Skadoodle's going to place himself up on top of the catwalk once again to try and catch this push early if it is to happen yet again.
This time it's going to be that smoke, the reverse mid-take, but there's nothing's here. Shroud's here as well. They have a crossfire set up. But it's nothing going to get caught with a flash out. That pop flash from B slows him down. With his boosting over, Shroud's ready for it. Punishes that. Jumping through the smoke is Flowsick. Shroud's blind. Can he recover? He does the damage. Skadoodle gets the kill. Now they're streaming out catwalk. So Skadoodle and Freakazoid have a huge battle ahead of them, but they both survive. They both fall away for a retake onto the site. Pop flash comes out. Skadoodle misses another shot, but they've still held him off. And there's Freakazoid. A nice headshot. Skadoodle goes for another peek. They're blind. He does the damage. Doesn't get the kill. There's a second flick over. And Winterfox, they have been stopped at the corner of catwalk. It cannot pass. That's why it's called the Gandalf box.
And Freakazoid gets that final frag. C9 continuing to stack up the cash here. 1,600 max money on Freakazoid before he goes for his buy. And two others going to be just over 10K as well at the start of this round. Shroud and Nothing a little bit lower. They're getting themselves in the brunt of the action here, but Winterfox not been able to crack the shell just as of yet. And now they're going to take a much needed pause here to try and rethink their strategy. Yeah, but this defense from Cloud9 is looking really, really strong, really mobile on how they're rotating at the moment. And Freakazoid at 17-1. That is just a beast performance. It's really cool to watch this as well because actually, when Cloud9 at the in the middle portions of last year was having those runs where Dust2 was one of their maps, Dust2 and Cash like their main map, that run of 3 weeks where they had the 3 semifinals. The biggest weakness they had on their defense of Dust2, and even beyond that, was mid-B splits. They had such a struggle defending against it. They basically had Freakazoid playing in CT spawn. That was it, and everyone caught on to that after just a couple weeks. So now that they have this mid-defense, and it's looking really strong, that's a really cool adjustment out of them. Shroud and Nothing mostly manning that up. Another big thing here, too, is Skadoodle playing that position over by catwalk and then falling back to the car spot. As of late, he had been sort of iffy with being able to execute properly there and pick up 1 to 2 frags before actually going down. This match, specifically, he's been on point with that almost every single time. Picking up that kill. Sometimes he gets baited into firing the shot and falling back a little bit early due to flashbangs that Winterfox toss over, but when he actually is fed the opportunity to find a kill, he's finding it almost every single time. Yeah, and let's be honest, when they're not hitting their shots, they got Freakazoid. He's having a monster game. 17-1, like we said. Pause is now canceled, so Winterfox has figured out what they want to do next. We'll see if they have anything in store here. They're very light on utility, but they have to break this soon. Cloud9 on a dominant run in this first half, and Winterfox, any hope they have of bringing this back is dwindling the longer this goes on. 4 smokes, so they are going to have enough to get into the bomb site here, but in terms of a post plant, they're going to be really struggling for this one. Not a whole lot of flashbangs and whatnot to work it, and they're splitting this too. 2 in the tunnels that are going to regroup a little bit later on, I imagine, to push towards Cat, but 3 sitting outside of those long doors to run the timer down a little bit early on here in the round. Once again, Lex and XP3 are going to challenge out mid initially. There's a Molotov to slow things down. Shroud's going to swing out behind this, though. He's in the gap of the smokes. He wins that battle just barely. XP3 is able to respond on now. Nothing's here, but he can't trade that kill off. It's Skadoodle, though. And Freakazoid's still here. Still hasn't fallen. Still alive, doing damage. Can he get one more? Anger's close up, but he's a little bit scared to move forward. Skadoodle actually fell back. Now he's got to be careful, but he gets that shot, secures his own retreat. And Anger at a 1-on-3. Nowhere to go. Skadoodle with the flashback over, but he's not actually going to peek from it, just waiting to see if Anger would come towards his direction, but that's not the case. It tries to push back over to top mid, where Stewie is waiting for him. Will shut him down very easily. C9 in the double digits now, and Winterfox still with nothing to show for it, and also no plants as of the past 2 rounds now. So unfortunately, the money's going to go down by quite a bit, and they are going to have to go for a bit of a half buy. Well, the full buys haven't been working out for him, so perhaps the half buy will. We have seen crazier things happen. It's going to be streaming out towards long, and everyone from Cloud9 is going to fall back. Actually, Freakazoid's going to stick around, and Pop Flash comes out, but he's blind again. Staggered flashes from Winterfox, get that opening kill. Shroud's now stuck in front. The spray is not connecting. Skadoodle's going to have to bail him out. Another flash rolls out. Shroud still peeking just to keep them at bay, but they have gotten an opening kill. They can't salvage that gun. That smoke might help Shroud fall back. But meanwhile, Nothing is cutting off the retreat. 3 quick kills for him before Anger finally responds. Stewie just sprang through the smoke, not able to find anything quite yet. Shroud picking up that nice shot on the XP3. Leaves only Anger alive, sitting himself just behind Big Blue now. Waiting for the peak to come out from there. Shroud, as he done, shuts it down. Not a whole lot of anger was going to be able to do from that position, unfortunately. So Cloud9 just continue to move forward here, up to 11 rounds now, and it doesn't really seem like there's anything that Winterfox can do that will actually stop them.
Well, the AWP is now back in XP3's hands, so we can hope that that comes from something. Interesting to note is that your player to watch on Winterfox, Desi, is currently at 0-11, so not having an impact. As are really, I mean, realistically, none of them are really having an impact now. There's a goose egg on the board for Winterfox. As this half dwindles down, Freakazoid still being a beast. Skadoodle's now joining him towards the top of that scoreboard. Default setup though, Skadoodle on catwalk again. Freakazoid being entrusted to long A all by his lonesome. Shroud still being aggressive towards mid, but it's going to be Skadoodle who's looking like he's going to have the first contact. This is going to blind him though, that flashbang there. So he's going to take a shot more than likely. No, he falls down, doesn't blind him. But this is a very committed spot for this kind of a play.
They're just waiting now for it to roll back in. Ooh, he was blind, but he decided to stick around, hoping he could catch it before they take a shot at him. That's not the case. Anger gets the clothesline, shuts down Skadoodle, and Shroud9 just trying to pick these players off, getting some good damage and brings Anger down to 11 HP, but Smoke's about to roll in his direction, and it is a bit dangerous, especially with this big rush coming in from Winterfox now. Desi wraps around finally on the scoreboard here as he picks up a kill on a Freakazoid, but nothing responds. Trying to find more, but Flowsick gonna come out towards middle too, so they've got to be careful of the flank. Nothing, still trying to frag, but cannot close out on any of these players, and Shroud just running through the mall. He doesn't even care. Picks up a kill, picks up another one, and closes it out onto Flowsick as well. What the heck was that, Shroud?
That is disgusting. Winterfox did not expect that whatsoever. Shroud with one of his highlight reel, almost like he's just streaming here. Matchmaking, essentially. 3 kills, huge play.
So, still not defeated as of yet, despite some blunders there in that run. Skadoodle finally messes up an opportunity to pick up a shot back over there. Nothing as well. Probably missed 1 or 2 chances to find some extra kills, but when it comes down to frag, it's all on Shroud, and he pulls it off with the class. Still keeping this match flawless for the guys on C9. Winterfox, though, coming into another gun round. 4 AKs. XP3 unfortunately has a downgrade to a Galil with them spending a little bit extra on the ops from the round here, so it's not going to be able to buy up as of yet, but Winterfox back to their sort of same type of strategy. It's basically going to be a straightforward take to Cat, with maybe having one player pushing out towards long a little bit later on.
Well, perhaps thinking they had some success at getting a pick out of Skadoodle at least last round, they can go right back at it. 2 members out towards, that's a decoy, 1 member out towards long, 4 on catwalk. Smoke's coming out, flashes as well. Shroud's here though. They're gonna have to get through him first. There's a nice shot from Skadoodle through the edge of the smoke. Shroud on the ramp, he's gonna try and find one more. XP3 takes him out. Skadoodle's still alive though. Freakazoid at long as well. So they're gonna keep control of long, and they'll just play for the retake.
Now, they will get themselves onto the site. So C9 holding back a little bit here since they have finally met their match. Winterfox has finally been able to find some consistency with getting themselves up here, but actually, Winterfox falling back a little bit to watch out for these flanks a bit early on. XP3, along with Flowsick, going back into the tunnels now. And that bomb is positioned just outside of CT, so no one really able to recover that. They are going to have to come back to this bomb site, but I actually like what I'm seeing now from Flowsick, because if he can get himself into this B bomb site and open up this flank and prevent the retaking from happening from CT, then that's going to be a very good thing to solidify this round. But 25 seconds left. They need to execute this very quickly, and it's not working out so well so far. Stewie's found a kill on XP3, but Flowsick does close in on that flank by shutting down nothing.
Nice pop flash. Flowsick's completely blind. Stewie's gonna get aggressive though. They're in CT spawn. He does get that 1 kill, but now he has the knowledge. Now he knows they're crossing over to B. Skadoodle, of course, gets that pick. And Freakazoid in upper B tunnels. This plant's gonna attempt to go down, but Freakazoid's about to ruin Anger's dreams. 13-0. Cloud9, they want a clean sweep.
I just might get it if things continue on like this for too much longer. So Winterfox, I mean, essentially just forcing up for the sake of forcing at this point because they need to try and find at least 1 or 2 rounds onto the board here. So able to get the rifles in hand once again. 2 players downgraded to Galil's this time, and Flowsick is going to be able to get a smoke and 2 flashbangs, but you look at the rest of the team, I think one smoke or 1 flashbang was used here right at the beginning of the round, but they don't really have anything, and they've already used so much of it here. XP3 gets an early entry out through the long doors itself, but he's shut down so quickly by Freakazoid, and the rest of the team is just going to have to fall back to that mid hold again.
So smart, though, from Cloud9. Double peek to ensure they at least get the trade, and the Molotov's blocking off the long portion, those long double doors, so they can't get killed. They're blocking off the rest of Winterfox. Now streaming out of mid. They're not watching for Shroud. He gets the bomb down, does the damage. There's Stewie and nothing. It's been like this the entire half, and Stewie even running through his own Molotov to get that kill and just barely getting out with 4 HP. Still nothing positive for Winterfox.
And amazingly enough, too, Winterfox even got this a couple of rounds ago to a point, and it's sticking at this now. Like, can't see it on the screen because we have the replay up right now, but Shroud's sitting at $800 post-buy. Stewie's at $1,500, and nothing after his buy. He's really not going to have all that much, so it looks like he's actually going to get dropped so that he doesn't really have to invest on this round at all. So gets the M4 in hand, the op goes over to Skadoodle, and he's just going to buy up utility and whatnot, but behind that. But the economy for C9 isn't really all that great, despite it being 14 rounds in a row. It's just the fact that Winterfox have not been able to close out a single round.
Yeah, well, last round of the half. Last chance for Winterfox to get on the board. Skadoodle on catwalk again. Mid control for Winterfox. Flashbang comes out. Skadoodle's going to delay this peek, and he does find the player he wants, but he can't land the shot. And nothing is going to clean things out of those upper B tunnels. XP3, the only one there. He falls. A little bit of damage, nothing, but not enough. Now they're just going to stream out mid. Winterfox, they might be able to find Shroud. Shroud's not looking, and there's a nice headshot from Desi. Stewie's very low inside this B bomb site. Gotta be careful. Flashbangs are gonna stream over, but there's no smoke. Doesn't matter. They're already at the bomb site. Lex gets that kill. I think he was blind. It's all on nothing, and he can't connect with anything. 4 on 2. If ever there was a likely round for Winterfox to get on the board, it's this one. And Anger even knows Freakazoid's coming through B tunnels.
So Freakazoid now is going to have to be cautious, watching his behind as he pushes up into here. Flowsick really just distracting him at this point so he can give his teammate the time to get up there. And lining it up, actually not executing very well on the initial pop, so Freakazoid responds, but thankfully Flowsick is there to catch the trade quickly enough. And it's all on to Skadoodle now. As he's obviously he's going to attempt this with it being the final round, but hope for him is not that good. Pop Flash doesn't really yield too many results on the initial pop, and he's being fired through the doors. A bit unfortunate for Skadoodle here. And Desi is going to be able to take him down. So Winterfox won one round at the very least, but ultimately not a whole lot of room left in this second half.
Yeah, this is a very brutal showing from Winterfox. It took them 15 rounds, but they do get one. Anger there. Not having any luck on that flank. Did everything right except not getting the kill. But now we're going to get restarted. We're going to get into this the second half, and no matter what really occurs in this pistol, it's not looking likely that Winterfox is going to be able to make a comeback.
Such a huge road they have to climb, 13 rounds. Yep. That's assuming C9 don't get any in between to tie it up, and then 2 more to close it out. So that would be an absolutely monstrous comeback from Winterfox. More than likely, we're just going to see C9, if not ultimately just taking these 2 rounds right from the get-go. At some point over this half, they will claim that, and Winterfox is not a whole lot that they can do to get back into this game since they've lost so much of this momentum in the first half.
A little bit of damage taken by Shroud, but they don't want to go long anyways, so he's going to readjust over towards Catwalk. It's 4-1 setup. Smoke out close into the B tunnels. You can see Lex firing through. He's not connecting anything, though. Here come the HE grenades. He's brought down very low. A second one's going to clean him out. Now Desi at the door. He does get one. He gets the headshot in a second. He survives. Freakazoid falls. So good job by him. Shroud's going to try and flank off Catwalk, and he's got to make a play soon. They know he's here. He's done a little bit of damage, but he's been brought down low as well. Desi coming in through the window takes out one, but nothing does return it. But so much HP is lost. And now Shroud is so far away. It's going to be an easy defuse, even without a kit. Anger cleans out Shroud. So pushed around 1 by Winterfox.
Winterfox keep the life support going for a little bit longer here now, losing Desi and Lex along the way. Interesting stat point, by the way, as I was taking a look at the scoreboard. Desi, who at one point in the last half was sitting at 0-11, is now actually leading the team in frags at 10-15. So big turnaround from him, but that doesn't really say much for the rest of the squad.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that happen. That was, I mean, good on Desi for catching up that quickly, but either way, still a long way to go. Cloud9 not going to buy up into this. They did get the plant, and also they have a huge lead to work with, so no reason to be too aggressive with their buys. We've also seen a more measured Cloud9 team with their economy, especially early on in halves, and a little bit more cerebral with how they want to manage the money. Some presence out towards long, but they fall back, and they're going to readjust to Catwalk.
A lot more pressure coming out over here towards long, though, that could potentially move out over here, but it actually looks like they're going to be shifting Freakazoid away to group up with the main push over towards Cat. Still trying to decide on that, though, as he's shifting back and forth. So, at the moment, looking like it could be 3-2, but this also could execute through middle if they just want to try and make some noise through the Cat angle to make it look like it's going to be a take from there. Considering Winterfox did that so many times, they'll probably be pretty privy on watching out for that same type of push.
Biding their time, and there's no one at this A bomb site from Winterfox. No utility really from Cloud9. 1 flashbang, so if XP3 falls, it's in an awkward spot. Here it comes. Anger's going to be at long, but XP3's forced into CT spawn, so they're at least going to get a plant more than likely. As Flowsick is at long, and now that gives the opportunity for XP3 to come up. He has been dinked. He does eventually fall. Freakazoid as well challenging over at long, but they do sustain. The plant's going to start going down now. I don't think Stewie's going to have the time as Flowsick jumps up on the box. So 3-14 as Winterfox tries to claw back into this, and is Cloud9 going to buy here? They did get the plant in the first round. This would be right on the edge of an acceptable buy. They'd be very low in utility. I imagine they save one more. Oh, no. Okay. They're going to go for it. Why not?
Might as well try to shut it down here if you
The
surprise
eternal
him.
question. Why not?
Surprise him a little bit, and
All
there
right.
you go. There's a good start. Skadoodle. Find a nice little pop on Alex there to take him down. So already down to 4. The defense is left to be split 2-2. And specifically towards A, with Flosic and Anger trying to get aggressive towards long, which shifts XP3 a little bit closer to mid. So if it's a direct B hit, it's a lot of pressure on Desi.
A lot of pressure on XP3, and he crumbled with that Molotov preventing Shroud from falling back. So now he's just got to hide behind the box. Flosic should check this. And actually, Shroud swings out, gets one more kill. Desi's still alive behind this box, but he's exposed from above. Nothing can't land it. They've got to take him out quickly. So Skadoodle just comes up, ends it like an assassin. Down to a 1-on-2.
And now, all on to Anger to try and clutch this out to keep his team in the matchup. Has that Molly to try and throw it down, but it's going to be off the mark. Essentially useless here. All it's going to do is keep Skadoodle firmly planted behind those boxes. He does give his position away. And I think Anger, this is going to be enough for him to try and shift up his entry point to window, but still really not finding anything. Not a whole lot of hope for Anger, as he's just fishing for something to peek out against him there. He spotted nothing in the tunnels, but Skadoodle spotted him as well and brings down a 27 HP and takes the direct duel. Anger had the good lock onto the head, but Skadoodle, he's going to find the shot first, shuts it down, and C9, there you go, they're on match point.
Actually, I think he dinked him there at the end through the box, but it's going to down to 30. But either way, yep. Nice round from Shroud, again, with low HP, gets the opening kill, and then goes out and gets a second one, just delays the rotation on that, allows them time to take out Desi. Shroud doesn't get that second kill if he falls instead of getting that. Winterfox has another player over there much, much quicker, 3 or 4 seconds ahead of that. And they're able to support Desi on platform. This time they're just going to rush B. Why not? Try and end it here. Go for the throw. Lex finds the first kill, though. Stewie with the Mac 10 responds. There's Skadoodle. There's a lot of Winterfox presence here. Down to a 1-on-2 quickly. Stewie knows there's one at long, though. Oh, excuse me, he killed the one at long, so he knows there's 2 in the B bomb site now, but he's very, very far away.
Yep, he's going to have to take the long path here, and this should give Winterfox plenty of time to try and get a grasp on the situation. Desi investigating the tunnels, not going to find anything there initially, but should be watching out for Stewie to go on the long flank now, which is exactly what he's doing, wrapping all the way through T-spawn, then pushing his way into the tunnels to try and see if he can take it down. XP3 will be the main player to watch out for this one. And Stewie, unfortunately, does not have a whole lot of utility to try and make this. We'll have to see what he picks up sort of along the way, but most of that action happens out on the site itself, so probably not going to be able to pick up all that much. So all he really has for this initial attempt to enter this bomb site is going to be that Molotov.
He can take the shot against XP3, who's out in the open. He's going to expect, you know, just tries to shoulder peek, but XP3's a little bit too quick for that one. Trying to salvage the AK-47, not able to get to it. There's that entry attempt. He's got a little bit hectic here. Skadoodle gets 1 kill. But 15-4, Winterfox still have a long way to go in this, and there is a little bit of an investment. Upgraded pistols, utility as well for the Cloud9 members. It's going to be all towards the B bomb site for them. No one even messing with long A or mid. Lex and Desi might be under some pressure. It all depends if Cloud9 wants to explode through this or play it a little bit more slowly. But now Desi's gotten to a good spot. Back at the platform against pistols is very tough to deal with.
C9 just hanging out right now in a big lump of players. Hoping to see if they can catch someone from Winterfox and running that timer down as well. Not going to find any of it as of yet. Winterfox need to be extremely cautious with how they move these players around the map to make sure they don't lose anybody early on. The full force of their defenses ready to go at a moment's notice here. Again, very light on the defenses at A, but this is not where C9 is going to be taking this. It's very direct, outside of the B tunnels. Going to try and overrun that B bomb site, as they'll try and get a plant here as well. But Desi and Lex already picking up 2. Lex with a 3rd. They're shutting it down pretty quickly. Nothing responds by shutting down Desi, but he's the last one alive. A little bit awkward there at the end of the round, but Lex will find the final pickup by shutting out Nothing. Winterfox continue forward here, up to 5 rounds now, but still 10 more to go before they tie it up and take it into OT. And this has to be a flawless 10-round run.
Yeah, and it's good. Well, I mean, at least this is going to be a little bit easy for him, or easier. Maybe not easy, but still Cloud9 not investing in the rifles just yet. This much of a lead still, just letting the money grow a little bit until they can have the AKs, the AWP on Skadoodle. Half investment, essentially. Upgraded pistols, they have the armor, and a lot of fast action. 2 members try to come out long, holding this defense there as long as they can. Skadoodle Nothing. Anger's going to be the one who has to deal with him. He does spot Nothing, but they're in the smoke. He doesn't realize this Flosic here trying to spray through. Transfers over to Skadoodle, and XP3 with a jumping scout into the A bomb site. They've handled the long portion. Now it's all about preventing the bomb plant, and they do it. Shroud does drop Flosic, but that's it. 6-15 now, but this is the real test. They're going to go up against AK-47s on the Cloud9 side.
Might not see the op investment coming out as of yet either, too, so they're going to avoid that big power point. Skadoodle was very, very potent on that on the CT side, and I imagine it'd be the same for the T side if he could go for it. But if he buys it here, it's going to be a glass cannon force-up. So just going to stick with the AK for the time being. Not going to want to risk it. Just going to go for the extra utility behind the AK instead. make sure that they can have this take go flawlessly, and it's very quick from C9. Already pushed themselves at the long doors. Anger was going to be here to support, but Winterfox shifted their stack much closer to middle here now. Really, they only have Anger to support, so he has to give up that long push to make sure that he stays alive near this A-bomb site.
Shroud has actually heard these footsteps of Flowstick pushing mid, so you can see Cloud9's ready for it, but nothing, still loses the battle. He's even going to be able to get away. Shroud needs a peek from lower B, but actually it's Skadoodle from the top of mid who punishes that. So brought down into a 4-on-4. Stewie's still out towards long, but XP3 has the op zoned in on that area, so Stewie's got to be very passive in how he plays this. He's got to allow his teammates to attract attention, but it looks like he wants to go for the duel, and he gets picked off. So still mid-control for Cloud9, but it is a 3-on-4.
Skadoodle and Freakazoid stacked up in mid, but nowhere to push from as of yet. Nowhere to move themselves forward beyond this point and get themselves over to his site. They're going to try to force their way out towards middle here, at least investigating options now. Shroud, the one that leads the charge here, but Freakazoid also keeping his eyes on Cat. He's going to take on Anger in a second, but Anger spotted that from a mile away. Just shuts down Freakazoid, and now it's a 2v4. So what hope do these two have of closing it out? Apparently a lot. Shroud is going to be able to take down Desi, and that's going to force Lex inside of the tunnels.
Yeah, they're actually clearing this out as well. There is one more in tunnels, though. Shroud will more than likely not expect that. Almost able to take XP3 out, but Anger's just waiting, and Shroud's in the open, and Anger's going to go to stop this. And he isn't going to miss those shots. Shroud falls, so 7th round for Winterfox. They're closing the gap. Still have a long way to go.
Good on the timing there from Anger, too. Not a whole lot of indication given as to when he could be tossing that down, but able to put it nicely. Rolls out right at the right time. Shroud didn't even give it a chance to pull his gun out, so shutting it down. Winterfox still continue to drudge forward here, essentially at, what is this, basically the halfway point. A little under that, of course. But if they keep this going, there's that small, very small chance that they may be able to take this into 15 rounds.
Yeah, double up setup as well, so this is gonna be a little bit tricky for teams to deal with at times. We've seen this setup just allow teams to run it back. So Cloud9, the question is, are they gonna figure it out? Are they gonna go at Desi at the B bomb site and discover that he has an AWP as well? Because they know XP3's got one still. It's all about finding the second, and actually that'll be the thing. If they don't discover it, then going into the gun round, that'll be when the surprise occurs. Even though we know he's had the double up for 2 rounds, it would catch him off guard. First off, XP3. Shroud tries to run the gauntlet, but he falls.
And the rest of these guys are going to push into this B-bomb site pretty quickly. Nothing running out of the smoke, but Desi nicely done with his connection there. Able to take down nothing. But however, we do see Freakazoid rolling in, and he takes down both Desi and Lex. When a 2-on-3, not entirely impossible. These final 2 players to pull off, but Freakazoid's so very low at this point. Stewie 2K finding a good shot. He finds his second one as well, but XP3 responds, and now it's all on Stewie in the 1v1. Trying to get this bomb on the floor, but XP3 hiding close. Thankfully for Stewie, does not decide to push through this. Now Stewie gonna have to try and clutch out this 1v1. He's gonna get aggressive about it, but he catches XP3 on the jump through window. So Stewie with a huge play from him on the 3K is gonna shut it down, and that's gonna be the end of it, ladies and gentlemen. C9 take the first map here on Dust2.
Yeah, who needs to get up like that? Really nice hold. A little bit over-aggressive from Winterfox. Not very coordinated in that retake, so a little bit brutal. I mean, look at this. As they come in. It's a fake plant. Stewie peeks window, gets one. Yeah, this is that jumping shot. That's sick. But Stewie's able to get a couple picks before that retake even really gets started. So really good stuff from Cloud9 off the back of that first half. They do kind of slow down a little bit. Winterfox catches a little bit of a hot streak in the second half, but when you're 14-1, it's just not enough in the first half. Not enough mistakes to be made. So really, really difficult for Winterfox. So tough in that first half. Nothing really to do in the second.
I mean, we saw some of the players like XP3 start to come back alive in the second half a little bit, but it still does not justify the fact that Desi was able to go 0-11 and within like a span of 6 or 7 rounds become the bottom fragger with 0 kills to go all the way to being the top fragger by like 3 or 4 additional frags as well, with his teammates close behind, of course, but still, that kind of a turnaround should not be happening.
Yeah, that is pretty incredible. He was able to do that, and I mean, it's just not enough kills. This mid defense from Cloud9 was just, this was incredible. This is like, Shroud's going to be on front page of Reddit, and he actually earned it with this one. For the first time in a long time, he earned the front page.
Takes the risk on that one, too, by walking through the Molotov. So he brings stuff down to 30 HP, knows one shot, essentially, and he's going to be a dead man, but still pulls off all 3 of those kills back to back to back and shuts it down. Where Winterfox did still have some fight onto them going into this second half, and they were able to keep it going for a little bit longer, but ultimately that 14-1 scoreline coming off of their T side was just not going to be enough to keep them in that game.
Yeah, and we'll have to see if it's gonna, you know, if they're gonna carry that over to the second map, have a little bit of a better performance to start things out, so that going into the second half, they'll be able to try and mount something, at least maybe go for a win. But either way, dominant win from Cloud9. That's one of the 2 wins they needed to get into that top 4. We'll see if they can grab the second one when we return. We will be back in a few minutes with Cloud9 versus Winterfox.